my name is Brendan Radabaugh, and I will be your host for the Orlando Regional Workshop Series, sponsored by the Orange County government. I'm here with Ilene Rain. She's going to be going over some tips and tricks for your resume building and job interviews. Ilene, can you tell me more about you and what you do?
Well, I am an executive recruiter for marketing and sales resources. We focus on the engineering fields. As I became a recruiter 11 years ago, and I was a marketing director and creative director before that, I noticed that people do not know how to job search. They do not know how to create a resume that's going to generate calls, and they do not know how to prepare for interviews. It's a little different nowadays than just opening up the newspaper and circling the ads like we used to years ago. And there is a strategy that's involved in all of this.
And we have a presentation ready. Would you like to pull it up on your screen and we can go through your presentation?
Fantastic. Okay, we good with the screen?
Screen looks good.
Fantastic. So we're going to talk about how to easily land a job during this global chaos that we're living in right now. So as I said, I'm a recruiter and partner at Marketing and Sales Resources. We focus on recruitment of engineering professionals. But also I am the founder and job search strategist for Pounding Pavement 101, where I teach people exactly how to find jobs, how to create resumes that are going to generate calls, how to prepare for those interviews. So this way they're not so torturous and you become the candidate of choice, and how to pound pavement. But a little bit more about me, just so this way you understand my background a little bit, is I was a corporate trainer, a creative director, a marketing director, and an information graphics designer. And this is really an exercise in marketing. Also, I'm a little bit involved in FIRST Robotics, being a mentor on Team 1676 out of New Jersey for the past 10 years, as well as a judge, volunteer coordinator, and I spoke at the World Championships a few times. So really, resume writing, interview preparation, job searching, it's a marketing project. And you have to see it as that. Basically, you're marketing yourself to employers versus marketing a product to the marketplace or to consumers. So it's all in the presentation. How are you presenting yourself to those employers, to those recruiters? So I want everyone to think and do a role reversal. If you were hiring someone, would you hire you? So it's no different than, let's say, you're picking teams for kickball on the field or for baseball. Who would you choose to be on your team? And that's really what job searching is all about. Who are they going to choose to be on their team? And I have a saying, PALAS, P-A-L-A-S. People are lazy and silly because it's really not nice to say stupid. The reason why I say this is because you need to connect the dots for the recruiter and hiring managers to want to talk to you and want to hire you. Make it easy for them to understand what you're looking for. As a recruiter, I have about 500 resumes on my desk that I go through every day. If that's the case, you have about 5 seconds to catch my attention. If that's the case, tell me what you want. I might have many requisites on my desk at any given time. A recruiter's looking for the shortest distance between 2 points. If I come up with a resume that matches that job, then I'm done for the day and I get to go home. So tell me what you want, because otherwise I'm going past your resume. So there's really 3 steps in this job search process. And this is where people really have a problem in understanding this, because without any of these components, you really fall flat. So number 1 is resume development. You need to develop a resume that's going to generate calls. If it's not generating calls, it's not doing its job, you need to do something different. Part 2 is interviews. If you're going on interviews and you're not getting offers, then we need to do something different. We need to prepare. And I always put this in terms of, look, if you're taking a test in school, who's the best person to ask what's going to be on that test? The teacher, the one who wrote the test. They'll tell you exactly what to study. I'm a recruiter. I tell people exactly what recruiters are looking for in their resumes and interviews. But the third part is job search strategies. You need to create visibility for yourself. Because if you have this great resume and you're great at interviews, but no one knows about you, you're not going anywhere. So you need all three working together to make this happen faster. Because no one enjoys the job search process. No one enjoys applying, application after application after application, and being ghosted. You just want to get back to doing what you like to do. So as I said, if you don't have a resume that's generating calls, it doesn't matter if you're great at interview skills, you're not getting anyone on the phone. If you are applying and you have all the job search strategies in place, if that marketing document, and that's what a resume really is, it's a marketing document. If it's not doing its job, you're not getting to do the other two items. The same thing in terms of interviews. If you have the greatest resume and you're getting out there with visibility, but if you can't talk in the way that the recruiters need to hear it, in what they're listening for, you're not going anywhere. And you might have the best resume and you may have prepared for your interviews, but if you're not getting out there and creating visibility for yourself, you might be the best kept secret in town. That's a problem. You need to create that visibility, be it on LinkedIn, other places, and just strategize and come up with a master plan on how you're attacking the market. You do it all together, it works, and it goes much faster. So let's talk about this. You need to develop a resume that's going to generate calls, that someone is going to want to talk to you. The reality is your resume is an exercise in information graphics. How are you presenting that information? Remember, I'm that recruiter. Yes, I'm the one sitting at that desk there, staring at all these resumes. Now, I don't have stacks anymore. It's all digital. But the reality is you have 5 seconds to catch my attention, to catch my interest, to see if you have something that to offer to me to fill the requisites on my desk. If the answer is no, I move on. And maybe you do, but the information isn't being presented properly and marketed properly. Now, the other thing that you need to realize is that your resume acts as a writing sample. So it needs to be in your voice, not a resume writer's voice. And you know your background better than anyone. But I want you to think of your resume as a term paper. So that objective sentence that is up top, everything below it should support that thesis statement. That you are all about that thing. If you're a mechanical engineer, everything below should show all of your mechanical engineering experience. But as we all know, being part of FIRST, it's more than just the robots. So I want to see your community service. I want to see your participation. I want to see that you're working together as a team. It all comes together. The same thing comes with your interview preparation. The goal here is to walk in with confidence. It's no different than you walk in on game day and you walk into that arena and you need to know how to speak with judges. You know how to speak with other teams. The reality is 75% of all questions are the same. If that's the case, let's prepare ahead of time. Let's come up with the answers before you walk in. You know they're going to ask you, what are your weaknesses and strengths? You know that question's coming in some way, shape, or form. So if that's the case, let's think about it and develop the answers before you walk in. The same as if you're taking a test in school. You would prepare and study for that exam, and then you feel a little bit more confident. It is the worst feeling to walk in and do a pop test and you didn't do the reading the night before. You get that sinking feeling in your stomach. So why don't we prepare? You know what the questions are going to be. And the part 3 is job search strategies. We really need to have a plan. Most people, when they start job searching, they don't have a plan in place. They just start applying haphazardly. We need to develop a strategic plan of attack. So this way you have focus in your job search. It's no different than any project. You don't just start building and designing a robot. You actually look at the rule book to find out what's going on and what are the goals here. Any awards that are in first, you read what the awards are and you focus your efforts for success. You want to grow your network. What do I mean by that? People do business with people who they trust, people who they know. Connect with everyone in first. Yes, I know we're not all together. We will be together again next year. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone. But connect, reach out. More than ever, people are reaching out online. Take advantage to build those relationships. You need to be able to talk about yourself. I hate the word elevator pitch. Everyone talks about the elevator pitch, but you really need to tell who you are and what you're about. It doesn't need to be a whole dissertation. I've run into some people where they go on for 5-10 minutes. Yes, I'm interested in you, but not that much. Okay, but I want the highlights. So I want you to think of it as if you're watching the news at night. They spend about 30 seconds telling you the story. You get the gist of it, and then the conversation continues. So just the highlights, have it practiced. If you have anxiety issues, if you're a little nervous in talking, and a lot of people are, that's okay. Practice it, because every event that you go to, wherever you go, even if you're going out to dinner with a bunch of friends, they say, what do you do? Have an answer ready. Build your relationships with recruiters now. It's amazing to me that when someone is out of work, the first thing they want to do is reach out to every possible recruiter. Guess what? Recruiters don't always want to get on the phone with you. But if you build the relationship, they will answer your call. I've had people reach out to me and said, oh, I remember them. I placed them somewhere, or I had a great conversation with them 3 years ago. And I take their call immediately. Recruiters have a wealth of knowledge. Their focus is on the job market. In the industry, they spend their days talking to people every day. They can share what's going on in the industry. They can contact you with future opportunities. As I said, I've reached out to people that I spoke to 3 years ago. So if you have that relationship built with the recruiter, that's only to your benefit and your career growth. Also, building the relationship with the recruiter, one thing that you can do, offer to help them. Maybe you know someone that can fill an assignment on their desk. Do you think they'd be thinking highly of you? Probably. Now is a great opportunity to continue learning. A lot of us do not have these huge social lives right now. You have a lot of extra time in your hands. I treat it kind of like the movie Groundhog's Day. If anyone ever saw that with Bill Murray, it was a great movie. People always say they don't have the time. You know what? We have the time right now. Continue learning. Things are constantly changing. This can only help you. If you don't have the master's degree, go for it now. Everything's online. Take advantage of that opportunity. If you take one course every semester, in another year, you'll be halfway done. How incredible would that be? Higher education can only help you. As you're going through the interview process, and you're up for a job and someone else is up for a job and they have a master's and you do not, guess what? That's the checkbox in their column. The degree might not make you any smarter, but it levels the playing field. And as we all know, and we're all here together, participate in your community events. You want to meet like-minded people. We all have things in common. It improves your self-esteem. Reach out online right now. It gives you networking opportunities and you gain valuable work experience. So be it FIRST or another organization, always try to connect with people and participate. Obviously, again, in FIRST, we all know about engaging in mentoring. So mentors, reach out to people, but you know what? We can all mentor down. We can also mentor up. It has nothing to do with age. I think we're all learning through this process, and we all kind of help each other achieve those goals. It's all through participation. We all have something to offer to each other. Always keep your resume updated. I've collected resumes, I've reviewed resumes in the stands at competitions. You never know when that next career opportunity is going to hit. I had a job come in today. I'm looking for an engineer. Gee, I'll let you know tomorrow what the specifications are. You never know when that opportunity is going to come up. I would also highly recommend reaching out to a professional. When you are pitching $1 million account, would you do everything in your power to land that $1 million account? Most people would say yes. You would hire maybe a professional designer for your PowerPoint. Maybe you would hire a speech coach to speak better. Maybe you'd hire an accountant to go over the numbers. Think about if you're going on Shark Tank and you're pitching that account, you would hire someone to help you with that. Well, guess what? When you're job searching, you are pitching you. You're pitching yourself to an employer to spend money, whatever that salary might be it $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, $300,000. You are pitching yourself. Are you worth it? Are you worth the investment? I always say yes. The competition is fierce right now. You need to do everything you can to be competitive in today's field. It is never more important than to create your digital presence. First of all, let's talk. Most people at this point have a Facebook account, Instagram, LinkedIn. Let's talk about cleaning up your social media presence. Companies do check. So if you don't want your grandmother to see it, not your mother, if you don't want your grandmother to see it, take it down now. Let's kind of create that as a rule. But you need to create your LinkedIn presence. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, then you're not taken seriously as a job seeker. You need to build that profile, and you need to build it properly. Again, reach out to a professional. This builds your credibility. You can check out my LinkedIn profile. You'll see my background, and you can see why I'm an expert in terms of job searching and recruitment. But also it allows you a tool in LinkedIn to build up your recommendations. This is such an important tool because you can ask people to give you recommendations, and then you can give them recommendations. Do you think that person would think warm thoughts of you if you're giving them a recommendation? Probably. They'll probably also remember you, especially every time they look at their profile, your photo is going to be there. They're going to remember you. When you're job searching, they might reach out. Remember, people do business with people they know and trust. And as I said, invest in yourself. You are worth it. You're worth that $1 million account. Increase your chances exponentially by giving yourself that professional brand, the professional presence. how to speak during interviews. I don't believe in mock interviews. They don't work. I believe in interview preparation. Don't leave it to chance. Do everything you can. I would rather you take the money now, invest as you're starting in your job search, rather than struggle for the next 5 months and then first have to start investing in yourself. Do it from day one. You're worth it. So if you have any questions, you're certainly welcome to visit me on my website. And you're welcome to schedule a free 15-minute consultation with me. I'm always available. I always like to work with everyone at first. And if nothing else, I'd just like to connect. So I thank you for listening, and I'll open it up to questions, Brendan.
So going through your 3 steps that you have, the first question I have is how would you structure your resume between having a very technical style resume or a non-technical? So if you were going for a very engineering-based role or any other job, how would you structure your resume?
You need to structure your resume. I mean, when it comes to technical roles, you can't fit that all on one page. It just can't be done. But you want to make sure that information is in there. So for example, if I have someone who's in school right now who did a project on water pumps, that might be your only experience at the moment because you haven't gone on co-op yet. But guess what? Do you think a water pump company would be interested in you? Yes, because you learned a little bit about it. So that's where you need to really take that experience and expand it out. My technical resumes, usually my software engineer resumes, they'll go about 4 pages just because of all the technical aspects that are involved there. But if you are a college student, don't go more than 2 pages. If you're a seasoned professional, well, you know what? You have more experience and you can expand past there.
So for how many pages the resume is, so you're recommending just 1 to 2 pages as a general professional?
Yeah, I don't like everyone is being instructed no more than the 1 page. The reality is as a recruiter, I never print out resumes anymore. So what difference does it make if I'm scrolling from 1 page or to 2 pages? If you have enough information, and I know everyone at first does, I've seen the accolades, I've seen the community service, I've seen the projects. You need to go 2 pages. I'm giving you permission right now to go 2 pages. It's just the reality of the situation. But the reason why colleges are saying just the 1 page is because they have to treat every student equally. And when they have companies coming in to review resumes, they can't have one student having 10 pages, one student having 1 page. Plus, the companies don't have time to go through all those resumes, all those pages. So they give everyone the same amount of real estate, 1 page. But if you're going into the open market, you can look as good as you want, as great as you want. We need to highlight your attributes, especially my first community. There's so much that you're doing on these teams that are real world experience that they belong on the resume. And to tell you the truth, I want to see that first logo. I'm making this a rule. Everyone should have that first logo on the resumes. Okay. And you can ask first headquarters, and they specifically say the strategic partners are looking for the first logo.
That's good advice. So during your interview phases, what do you recommend the interviewee to wear? Like, is it full suit and tie, or how do you recommend them dress during their interview?
What I would recommend is ask the recruiter before you go in.
Okay.
There are some companies that are more casual. There are some that are more dressed up. If you don't know, I always revert back to suit and tie, suit up. Okay. Women, I don't want to see any super high heels because the last thing you want to do is trip. Okay. And I've known this to happen where someone trips. You want to dress a little bit more conservative. You want to always dress up a little bit more than the person who's interviewing you. Again, it's an interview. If you walk into a suit and tie, and Brendan, look, you're dressed in a nice collar shirt today, okay? And if you walk in a suit and tie, they're going to say, "Oh, the interview suit." We all know it, okay? So it's okay, but always make sure the shoes are cleaned, they're not beaten up. Again, you want to be the best version of yourself. If you're not going to be the best version of yourself during an interview, you're certainly not going to be the best version of yourself when you show up for work every day.
Now, going back to writing the interview or writing the resume, how many years of experience should you put on your resume? Should you put all of your experience you ever had, or how should you set that up?
Well, I wouldn't go back, probably, well, depending on your age. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. If you are a seasoned professional, 20, 30 years into your career, think about it this way. Does it matter what you did when you were in your 20s? Probably not. That experience might not have anything to do with what you're doing now. If you're in your 30s, let's say, you don't need your high school experience anymore. Time to take it off. If you are in college, again, your high school activities, if it's related, yes, keep it on. If it's not, then take it off. If it's first, it stays on the resume. I'm making that rule. I have had students told by colleges to take it off the resume, and that is wrong. Your first experience is way too important, and it connects you with this community.
Now, when you're going into your job searching, when you're doing online applications, what do you recommend to do to get past the general bots that are there in the website to get to someone who's actually going to read your resume?
That's a whole strategy in itself on how to get past those ATS systems. And the ATS systems are really set up for easy access, but the problem is you have to know how to work them. You need to know how to develop a resume that's going to generate calls. You need to know how to stand out in the pile. So there's tips and tricks on how to work that system. So that's a whole longer conversation.
So just try and work the system pretty much.
Well, it's just like working, a social media algorithm.
Yeah.
There are ways in which to work around it, but you really need to expand your experience. I'm being told, or I've seen a lot of resumes where FIRST Robotics is listed just as a one line item. So under clubs and activities. Now, those of us in the FIRST community know FIRST is so much more than that. It is certainly worthy of more than FIRST Robotics, 2 words on the bottom of a resume. Okay, and anyone who is involved in any way, shape, or form knows it's more than that, and they've participated more in that. So we need to expand that experience out. It's a real world experience. If you were building a robot, if you were working on an award, if you were doing animation, you were doing graphics, you were doing a business plan, whatever it is, that needs to be discussed. Those are real world applications. Everyone that I'm told, once they get to college, they say, "Oh, first taught me so much. They even taught me about presentations, how to speak to people, things that you didn't even realize you were learning about as you were learning it."
And so with LinkedIn, having your profile, what would you do if you had a recruiter just cold call, reach out to you? How do you respond to something like that?
In terms of an email, a text, or a phone call?
Yes.
All 3?
Well, so say they email you on LinkedIn about a job, but it's not something that you applied for. How do you talk to a recruiter like that would just ask you something?
Always take the phone call. Always. Because again, let's go back to, you want to build the relationship with the recruiter. You want to, first of all, it's good practice. It's good practice in speaking, it's good practice in how to handle the calls, and it gives you experience in different styles of different recruiters. Second of all, you want to build the relationship so this way they get your information in their database for the future, because they never know what's coming across their desk on any given day. So I might have an engineering position, I might have a packaging position, I might have a marketing position, a sales position, whatever it is. But during my downtime, I'll talk to almost anyone. So I'm gathering information so this way when that job does come across my desk, I can very quickly reach out to those people. So if you are ever planning on having another job and job searching, and most people don't stay with companies 30 plus years anymore, then it is to your benefit to reach out to a recruiter, connect with them, build that relationship.
Now, how many pages is your resume?
My resume?
Yes.
My resume, you are the first person to ever ask me that question in all these years I'm doing this. My resume is 2 pages. And I think my first robotics experience and my corporate training experience is 1 whole page.
I think my first robotics experience is about half the page on I have 2 pages as well. Mine is about half the page, so it makes sense. And how much, so on your resume, how much is First Robotics based then? Or like what do you actually put on there for your First Robotics background?
I was a non-tech mentor, so I have that on there. I have some of the projects on there that I've worked with the teams. I have my awards on there. So I have the world awards, I have the regional awards, I have the local awards. I also have speaking opportunities where I've spoken, for first. So I've expanded that experience pretty large based on my involvement.
And what do you recommend to high schoolers if they're going to make that first resume? What do you recommend them to post the resume to? Would it be just LinkedIn, or would they go to other recruitment websites?
What I would recommend for my high schoolers is they need to develop a resume for college. So that's one thing that I work on with high school students, is developing a resume for college applications. And that was going to be one of the topics at the World Championships this year. Oh, well, but that's okay. We're going to figure this out together. But you need to put that resume together for the colleges to really highlight that information. Now, one thing that I am seeing is that a lot of the guidance offices or people are being directed, again, to treat First Robotics as an activity. It's not. It's so much more than that. So I don't ever want to see First Robotics as a 1-line item on the resume. If someone tells you to do that, I want you to smile. I want you to say thank you, and then walk away, and then we'll fix it together. Okay, because you need to expand that experience out. Think about all the things that you've done, all of the things that you've participated in, the difference that you've made in the world. That needs to be expanded out on that resume. And I want to see it. The strategic partners want to see it. The colleges want to see it.
So to follow up though, who do you think is hiring right now, and how would somebody want to get that interview, especially with what's happening in today's world? How do you find the people that are hiring that you're trying to get a job?
Last year, look, it's a tough situation right now. Last March, everything went on hold. Okay, as a recruiter, the companies weren't even responding to me. Okay, they were trying to figure out how to get everyone working from home. Things started opening up in the summer though. I do know that there were some internships that did not get canceled. A lot did. There's nothing we can do about that. We could just keep moving forward. But in August, jobs started opening up because this wasn't going away. So the companies started working together. They started saying, okay, let's get business up and running again. I had people getting hired during holiday season. So it is possible. The jobs are out there. You just need to know where to look. Come January, Q1, companies said, okay, let's get back to work. We're past the holiday season. Let's start hiring. So the jobs are out there. You just need to go after them. And you really need to pound pavement. There are internships that are out there. Some of the companies are letting people work remotely. There are full-time jobs out there. So it's out there. You just need to know how to look, and you need to really, it becomes a numbers game, to tell you the truth. Yes, the candidate pool is larger than it's ever been. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't try for it. There are more first teams than ever. Does that mean that you don't try to build a robot that's going to win? No. Or that's going to participate in playing? No. You go for it. So you really need to get out there. And the more you're out there, the more chances you have of getting noticed, the more chances you have of getting hired.
Any closing remarks about building your resume or anything that you would like to add?
Just keep connecting with people. Stay in it. We're going to get through this pandemic together. Okay. If anyone has any problems, please reach out to me. I don't know if people have access to the chat, but I do offer a discount for my services for the FIRST community. I just put in the code FIRST, FIRST. But you can visit my website at www.poundingpavement101.com.
Thank you very much, Ilene. Thank you for joining us for the Orlando Regional Workshop Series, sponsored by the Orange County government. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Brendan. I appreciate it. Stay safe, everyone.
See ya.
FIRST Robotics Competition is the world's landmark robotics competition for students.
In school, you read about stuff, but in FIRST as a whole, you actually go and do it.
In the beginning of January, the challenge comes out every year. Under strict rules and limited time and resources, you have to design, build, program, and test a robot.
There's no blueprint. We get a few rules and guidelines to follow, and then it's up to those students to find something that works.
There's nothing better than just seeing your robot on the field playing for the first time. They're all there like, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? And then when it works, it's the best feeling ever.
You have mentors that are actually in the field that can tell you, oh, this is why this works, and this is the science behind it. And you're like, oh, wow, that makes so much sense.
They do a great job, not just about STEM, but about life, how to go through college, how to go through, a tough, physics class.
At face value, FIRST Robotics Competition is a robot competition, but at the end of the day, it's so much more than that.
People ask me like, oh, you build robots? I says, no, we're really running a business and all the things that go along with that.
We deal with a lot of marketing, social media.
I've learned business side of things,
problem solving, working in groups.
I'm learning how to communicate with people, how to reach out to local businesses.
So we kind of have robotics as the starting point, but we branch out to different areas and expand.
So the ultimate goal every year is always to get to the FIRST championship.
The FIRST championship is basically like the Olympic for robots.
There's hundreds of teams from all over the world there, and you get to see some of the best teams that exist.
It's very competitive, but you're friends with the people that you're going against. It's like a sport, but in its own way, it's better than a sport.
Being part of FIRST, it's really changed my life and how I think about myself, how I think about others.
Participating in FIRST actually taught me that I'm capable of doing anything that I set my mind to.
FIRST has really inspired me to give back in my old elementary school. I'm trying to help their robotics program that just started this year. I want those kids to have the opportunity to learn about STEM.
As a participant in the FIRST program in high school, you get access to $80 million worth of scholarships.
There are scholarships for colleges, universities, as well as technical programs.
It also looks really good on the actual application to be on FIRST.
FIRST does a really great job trying to open programs to make sure that you could actually accomplish anything in STEM, no matter where you're from, your background, your language, or anything like that.
I really do consider myself part of the STEM community, and I couldn't be more prouder to say that.
FIRST Robotics Competition is one of 4 engaging FIRST programs that shows students unique challenges and helps them learn new engineering skills and real-world skills that'll help them in the future.
First is the future.
First is accomplishment.
First is passion.
First is inspiring.
First is changing my story.